Should have known better. His profile seemed perfect, almost too perfect. Charming was the first word that came to mind when I scrolled through his pictures. Crisp suit, that effortless smile, and a bio that had just the right amount of humor. A guy who makes me laugh, finally, I thought. His name was David, and when we matched, the conversation flowed so naturally that I didn't even second guess meeting him. We met at a trendy little coffee shop in the city, one of those places with dim lighting and a menu full of artisan drinks I couldn't pronounce. From the moment he walked in, it felt like the air in the room shifted. He was even better looking in person, which rarely happens on these apps. Tall, confident, with piercing green eyes that seemed to catch the light. He sat down, and his energy pulled me in immediately. It wasn't just the way he looked, it was his voice. Low, smooth, as if each word was chosen with care. We laughed, we flirted, and I felt this connection, the kind I'd been chasing for so long. As the evening wore on, I didn't notice how his questions became more personal. How often I lived alone, whether anyone else had a key to my place. Small things that seemed innocent when asked in his charming, disarming way. The night had been going so well that when he suggested we continue the evening at his place, he had a bottle of wine he wanted to share. I agreed. Maybe it was the wine, or maybe it was the way his smile made me forget every red flag I'd ever learned to look for. His apartment was upscale, minimalist, and cold, like something out of a magazine, as though no one actually lived there. The walls were stark, and the silence hit me as soon as the door closed behind us. Something shifted in the air, subtle but unmistakable, and for the first time, I felt uneasy. He poured the wine, making small talk, but I noticed his eyes lingered on me too long. I tried to shake it off, convincing myself I was being paranoid. But then he excused himself to the bathroom, and I was alone. My phone buzzed, a text from my roommate asking how the date was going. I glanced at the clock. It was already after midnight, much later than I realized. Something about the stillness of the apartment, the way the shadows stretched across the floor, made my skin prickle. I couldn't explain it, but I suddenly had the urge to leave. I stood up, intending to make an excuse and call a ride home, but as I moved toward the door, I heard a noise behind me. Leaving already? David's voice was different now, lower, colder. I turned around, and there he was, just standing there, too close, his eyes dark and unreadable. Just need to head home. It's late, I stammered, trying to sound casual, but my voice shook. His smile was gone. You don't want to leave yet. We're just getting started. My heart pounded in my chest. I tried to move past him, but he blocked my way, his body language changing from charming to something else, something predatory. I stepped back, my mind racing, every instinct telling me to run. David, let me go. He didn't respond. Instead, he reached for something behind the couch. A glint of metal caught my eye, a knife. Panic surged through me, my breath coming in sharp gasps. I lunged for the door, but he was faster, grabbing me by the arm and shoving me against the wall. The knife was in his hand now, inches from my face. Why are you doing this? I screamed, struggling against his grip. His face twisted into a smile, but it wasn't charming anymore. It was cold, devoid of emotion. Because I can. I kicked out, catching him off guard, and managed to slip from his grasp. I sprinted toward the door, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the lock. He was right behind me, but adrenaline fueled my movements. Somehow, I got the door open and bolted down the hallway, not looking back. I ran out into the street, screaming for help. By some miracle, a passing car slowed down, and I jumped in without hesitation. The driver, an older man, looked terrified, but I didn't care. Drive! Please, just drive! The police came, of course. I gave them everything I had. His name, the address, every detail I could remember. But when they got to the apartment, it was empty. No sign of David, no sign that anyone had ever lived there. They searched for weeks, but it was like he vanished into thin air. No trace of him anywhere. His Tinder profile was gone the next morning, as if he'd never existed. Every day, I wonder if I'll see him again. In a crowd, at a bar, at the grocery store. I can still feel his eyes on me sometimes, even though I know he's not there. Or maybe he is. Maybe he's always watching, waiting for the right moment.